Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Kamogawa. My name's Deb. Now, if you're new to this channel, you might not know, and actually this is quite a recent development, but every Tuesday I put up a video about books, what I'm reading, what I'd like to read, book hauls, just general book chat really. So I think this is the third or fourth, second or third, I don't know. But I've got other videos about books and stories and reading if you want to go and have a look at those too. So this week on the channel, I'm going to talk about the library. Now, in Swansea, we have quite a lot of libraries. Swansea as a city, we have quite a lot of libraries because we have one more or less on every sort of little village. Not every village, but every little town within Swansea, suburb I guess you'd call them, every little suburb, there is a library. So if you're interested, if you live in the local area and you're interested in attending the library or going to an event at the library or getting books out of the library, you can go onto the library, onto the website of the library, which I think is under the Swansea Council website. So I think it's swansea.gov.uk, and you just search for libraries there, and then you can click onto the library that you're interested in going to. What I quite like is if you have a Swansea library card, you can go to any library within Swansea. And also what I particularly like is if you get books from a library, you can take them back to any library, which is quite useful for me because I think I have to pass. My preference is to go to the Central Library, which is the biggest library, and because I like it's down by the sea and it's the biggest, and so that's my preference. But I go and I get my books, and then when I want to take my books back, there are about 2 or 3 libraries before that I actually get to from my house. So having said that, I haven't been to the library for maybe 6 years. I can remember the last time I went to the library, and I think that was about 6 years ago. And even then, I don't think I didn't take books out of the library then. I think I just took my granddaughter, who was a baby then, and I took her just to have a look at the children's books and have a little run around. And then there was a reason I kind of got in a myth. Well, I'm not going to talk about that now, but I kind of got in a bit of a myth, not with the library, but with the parking around the library. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to do that. And so I didn't go back. And then obviously 2020 happened, and then that kind of put me off going to the library because I just didn't want to be reading books that other people had potentially held if they'd or coughed or sneezed on, because I just didn't like the idea. So I didn't go to the library for years, and also before 2020, I used to much prefer reading a physical book, but then it was difficult to access a lot of books, and I read a lot, so I have to have access to a lot of books. So I started reading on my Kindle, and then that became my preferred method of reading. So yes, it's only over in the last couple of years that I've got back into actually reading physical books, because also I read a lot in the night, and I've got a husband, he sleeps in the same bed as I do, and if you're reading a Kindle, you have a backlight on that Kindle, so you can read in the dark. It's probably really bad for your eyes, but anyway, I read a lot on my Kindle in the night. But anyway, I thought that I would return to the library, and so I went to the library this past weekend, and I took out some books. And now the library has changed a lot since I've been there. What I really liked was when I went there, it was very, very busy. The weather wasn't great. It was raining, so that might have something to do with it. But the children's section was absolutely full. There were loads of kids in there. That was really nice to see. And around in our library, they have tables and chairs sort of around the library. The library's kind of like in a circle. and they've got lots of tables and chairs on the edge of the library, and there wasn't an empty one. Loads of people were in there working on their laptops, reading books. Obviously, you can use the computers in the library, and yeah, the library was absolutely chock-a-block, and I really loved seeing that, because I think if you don't use your libraries, then they're going to disappear, aren't they? But I'm really pleased to say the Swansea Central Library on Saturday was heaving. Was it Saturday? Yes, it was Saturday. And it was really busy, so that was lovely. So in terms of the books I got, now this is another thing that's changed. You can now take out 20 books at a time, and I think you have them for 2 weeks. So if you're a fast reader like me, that is superb. However, I didn't take out 20 books. First of all, I didn't see the need, because I've got lots of other books at home that I've still got to read, and I didn't have time really, because the layout of the library hasn't really changed. It's in exactly the same layout as it always has been. There's a couple of different changes, but on the whole it's the same, so I kind of know where to find everything still. But when back in the days when I used to go to the library a lot, I felt like I'd almost exhausted everything that I wanted to read in there. Of course I hadn't, but that's what I felt like. Like I'd look up and down the rows and I think, read it, or worse, I wouldn't recognise that I'd read it, and then I'd get it home and start a couple of pages, and I'd be like, oh, okay, read it. So for me now to go back to the library and not recognise all the books was really nice. And I joined a book club, a local bookstore book club, I think earlier on this year, and I've been to a couple of their book club meetings, and I really enjoyed that, and what I liked about that was like learning about different books that were available and what other people were reading, and finding new authors. And that's what I really like about book club, is because you find out about things you haven't heard of, and it widens your reading horizons. And so in our local Waterstones, there are 2 book clubs, and I joined both. And one of them, it quickly became apparent to me that what they were reading wasn't what I liked, because I think it was the book club was something about mysteries. It was like a whodunit sort of club, I think. I can't actually remember, but what I realised was that's not what I liked. What I like is reading about, I like whodunits, and it wasn't whodunit. It was more like murders. That's not what I like. I don't mind the odd murder in a book, but that's not my reading preference. And also, I think I read about 3 books within that book club, and I don't think I enjoyed one. So I just thought, well, okay, so that's obviously not for me. Then, but there's also a fantasy book club, and I joined that, and I liked the books. And I liked the chat. When I went to the book club, I liked the chat, I liked the books. And so and I haven't attended any of those actual meetings for a while. I just haven't had time. But I am still part of the WhatsApp group for that book club, and so I'm still getting the recommendations, and I still know what everybody's reading. And on that book club, so anyway, back to the library. So when I went to the library, I didn't really have any idea of what I wanted to pick up. And so I just picked up a couple of books, and I wasn't going to get many books, okay, but I wanted to get a couple of books. And some of them I don't know. There was a stand there, and the stand was about food. I think it was called Food for Thought or something, the stand, and all the books were about food. So the first book I picked up was this one. It was the Kamogawa Food Detectives by Hisashi Kashiwai, and it looks like that. Sorry, the light, I've had to put a light on in the room because it's so dark. So it looks like that. And this says, this is the Kamogawa Diner, isn't it? If you want to call it that, then where can I find the Kamogawa Detective Agency? That's what you're after, is it? You should have said so when you walked in here. Oh no, I'll definitely try the food, he said, reaching for his chopsticks, but if I could discuss something with you afterwards. So this is the Japanese bestseller. And then inside it says, what's the one dish you'd do anything to taste just one more time? Down a quiet back street in Kyoto exists a very special restaurant called the Kamogawa Diner. Customers who can find the hidden establishment are treated to an extravagant meal, but it's not the main reason for visiting. The father-daughter duo who own the restaurant have started advertising their services as food detectives, capable of recreating a dish from their customers' past that may well hold the key to unlocking forgotten memories and ongoing happiness. From the widower looking for a specific noodle dish that his wife used to cook, to a first love's beef stew, the restaurant of lost recipes provides a link to the past and a way to a more contented future. So that sounds absolutely fab. I can't wait to read that. And yeah, I like reading like this sort of book, so I'm looking forward to that. And then this one was another book that I got from that display. And so this book's called The Language of Food by Annabel Abbs, and that's what that looks like. And this says, two women on a mission to put poetry on a plate. Oh, all my library cards are falling out. Okay, so this is England, 1835. When Eliza Acton is told by her publisher to write a cookery book instead of the poetry she loves, she refuses. But after her father is forced to flee the country, Eliza must earn her living. Despite never having cooked, she is determined to learn. She hires young, destitute Anne Kirby to help in the kitchen. Oh, God, sorry, I've noticed on my videos I keep on touching my nose, but I think, I don't know why I do, but I think I've got allergies. And together they discover a mutual talent and passion for cooking and for recipe writing. But as Anne finds a voice of her own, their radical friendship starts to fray. And it's based on the true story of Britain's first domestic goddess. The Language of Food is a sumptuous feast of a novel about the woman who changed the course of cookery writing forever. That sounds fab as well. Absolutely brilliant. Sorry, I'm just picking up my library cards because I don't want to lose those. Pop those back in The Language of Food. And then the other book was this, and I started reading this one. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to blow my nose, sorry about that. So this one, and I started reading this one already, and this one is Gingerbread by Helen Oyeyemi. And I've started reading this, and I'll read you the blurb. It says, Perdita Lee may appear your average schoolgirl. Harriet Lee may seem just a working mother trying to penetrate the social school hierarchy, but there are signs that they might not be as normal as they think they are. For one thing, they share a gold-painted 7th floor flat with some surprisingly verbal vegetation. And then there's the gingerbread they make. Londoners may find themselves able to take or leave it, but it's very popular in Druhastrana, the faraway and, according to Wikipedia, non-existent land of Harriet Lee's early youth. In fact, the world's truest lover of the Lee family gingerbread is Harriet's charismatic childhood friend, Gretel Kercheval, a figure who seems to have had a hand in everything, good or bad, that has happened to Harriet since they met. Years later, when teenage Perdita sets out to find her mother's long-lost friend, it prompts a new telling of Harriet's story, as well as a reunion or two, as we follow the Lees through encounters with jealousy, ambition, family grudges, work and wealth. Gingerbread seems to be the one thing that reliably holds a constant value. Influenced by the mysterious place gingerbread holds in classic children's stories, equal parts wholesome and uncanny, beloved novelist Helen Oyeyemi invites readers into a delightful tale of a surprising family legacy in which the inheritance is a recipe, endlessly surprising and satisfying. Written with Helen Oyeyemi's inimitable style and imagination, Gingerbread is a true feast for the reader. So I started reading this. I've got I'm on page 84. And I absolutely love, I haven't read any other of Helen Oyeyemi's books, but I absolutely love the way she writes. Honestly, it's a long time since I've read a book where somebody is so precise with words and so excellent at crafting a sentence. So I absolutely love the start of this. And I love the premise of this. It's like, you know, if you think of a fairy tale food, what do you think of? Gingerbread. It's in so many stories. Obviously, you know, you've got the gingerbread house of Hansel and Gretel, and you've got the gingerbread man of, you know, and I like how she's taken that idea of gingerbread and created a fantastical story about that. So I'm really enjoying that. So I'm so glad that I went to the library to get that book. And then I got some other books as well. And these I got these, which are, I got 3 books which I'd heard of the authors, but I'd read one book by one of the authors, and I'd heard of the other author, but I haven't read any of their books. So the first book that I got, the first author whose books I got was T.Kingfisher, and T.Kingfisher is well beloved on the on the book club board that I just told you about, on the Waterstones Fantasy Book Club board. T.Kingfisher is a firm favourite. So I've read one book which I can never remember the name. I think it's The Seventh Wife or The Seventh Bride or The Seventh something, and I really enjoyed that. Really excellent. I think that was a short novel, I think, because it wasn't a very long book. So I've got this one, which is Nettle and Bone by T.Kingfisher. And this says, after years of seeing her sister suffer at the hands of an abusive prince, Mara, the shy convent-raised third-born daughter, has finally realised that no one is coming to their rescue, no one except for Mara herself. Seeking help from a powerful grave witch, Mara is offered the tools to kill a prince if she can complete 3 impossible tasks. But as is the way in tales of princes, witches and daughters, the impossible is only the beginning. On her quest, Mara is joined by the grave witch, a reluctant fairy godmother, a strapping former knight, and a chicken possessed by a demon. Together, the 5 of them intend to be the hand that closes around the throat of the prince and frees Mara's family in their kingdom from its tyrannous ruler at last. Now this, Nettle and Bone, this was on my autumn to be read list, so I hadn't bought it, and I was thinking I was going to have to buy it, but I saw it in the library, so yay, excellent. So that's the first T.Kingfisher book. And this is another T.Kingfisher book. And this one, the Nettle and Bone, was in the fantasy section of the library, and this was in the horror section of the library. So this is maybe horror. It must be horror because it was in the horror section. So it's called A House with Good Bones, and that's what that looks like. And this says, A House of Good Bones is funny, scary, and charming. You'll gulp this book down like sweet tea on a hot day. And that is a review by Charlene Harris. She wrote the Sookie Stackhouse novels. Or if you might have seen the series True Blood, that's the author of those novels. It says, in this ordinary North Carolina suburb, family secrets are always in bloom. Samantha Montgomery pulls into the driveway of her family home to find a massive black vulture perched on the mailbox, staring at the house. Inside, everything has changed. Gone is the eclectic warmth Sam expects. Instead, the walls are a sterile white. Now it's very important to say grace before dinner, and her mother won't hear a word against Sam's long-dead and little-missed grandmother, who was the first to put down roots in this small southern town. The longer Sam stays, the stranger things get, and every day more vultures circle overhead. And it says a special blend of horror and snarky mundanity. A creep show in taupe with extra vultures. I loved it. That sounds good. I like the sound of that. Sorry, the reflection on my glasses. So yeah, so that's that one. And then V.E.Schwab is another author that they love on the Fantasy Book Club. So anyway, V.E.Schwab, this is, I think, 2 books in one, because it says the archived and the unbound novels with a bonus short story, and it says the archive series appearing together for the first time. So I think this is more than one book. So this is The Dark Vault, and why I like it this is the natural successors to Diana Wynne Jones. That was a review by The Independent. And if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know I absolutely love Diana Wynne Jones. So this says, this sounds quite scary too. It says, imagine a place where the dead rest on shelves like books. Each body has a story to tell, a life seen in pictures only librarians can read. The dead are called histories, and the vast realm in which they rest is the archive. Mackenzie Bishop's grandfather first brought her here 4 years ago when she was 12 years old, frightened but determined to prove herself. Now her grandfather is dead, and Mac has grown into what he once was, a ruthless keeper, tasked with stopping often violent histories from waking up and getting out. Because of her job, she relies to the people she loves, and she knows fear for what it is, a useful tool for staying alive. So some of the reviews say, skillfully blends fantasy and mystery, a gripping supernatural thriller, and truly a masterful, dark, beautiful novel. So that seems superb. So I look forward to reading that. That is a big book. How many pages? Like 697 pages. So basically 700 pages that book is. And then this little book is The Hedge Witch by Cari Thomas, a thread needle novella. And this says, exiled for the summer, cast out, left to fend for herself amid the sheep and bogs, packed off to reside with Aunt Winifred, her arguably most crazy relation, and there was stiff competition. Rowan's thoughts were lost amid a tumble of hay bales when the train clacked slowly into a station. The sign came into focus, Coed y Llaeth. What will this summer have in store for Rowan Greenfinch? So, yeah, Rowan has been sent to visit her eccentric aunt, Winnie the Hedge Witch, in the wild Welsh countryside for the entirety of the summer holidays. An opportunity, her mother believes, for Rowan to hone her skills in hedgecraft, get back to nature, and possibly make some friends. However, mysterious events around the town are causing panic in the streets, in the secret magical community, and Cohen's non-magical folk are starting to take notice. Can Rowan hone her hedgecraft, befriend the local witches, and solve the riddle of the mysterious goings-on? Or is magic about to be revealed to the world, or at least Wales? Okay, so The Hedge Witch takes place before the event of Threadneedle and is a perfect enchanting read for fans of the series. Okay, so I haven't read any of these in this series. So that's all the books that I got from the library. I'm looking forward to reading them. And yeah, obviously I'll let you know if there's any that I particularly love or if I don't like, then I'll let you know. And obviously if I say I don't like something, it's no reflection of the author or the writing I'll tell you if I don't. I'll tell you what I think, my honest review of the books, but I don't know when that will be because yeah, I've got to get through all these. And sorry, I've got a spider who's made a web on the outside of my window, but there's a leaf caught in the web, so it's waving like a little flag. So that's what I'm looking at. So anyway, thanks very much for watching this channel. And yeah, so just remember, every Tuesday it's books and every Thursday it's other general lifestyle videos. And thanks for watching. Take care. Bye. Please like and subscribe if you want to. Bye.